Welcome, everyone in the United States, Canada, and around the world to another powerful episode of It's a Wrap with Rap, the podcast that is the intersection of hope, resilience, purpose, and relevant topics. I'm your host, Ron Rappaport. Today's guest, Laszlo Suhajda, is the author of the deeply moving and historically powerful book, 12 Bells to Freedom. But his story is more than pages in a book. It's a living testimony of courage, faith, endurance, and the relentless pursuit of liberty. Born and raised in Hungary, he experienced firsthand the crushing realities of life under communist rule. As a young boy during the 1956 Hungarian Revolution, he witnessed the nation rise up against tyranny, and he lived through the danger, uncertainty, and life-altering decisions that followed. In the face of oppression, he and his family made a bold and perilous escape from communist Hungary in search of freedom. Arriving in the West with little more than determination and hope, Laszlo went on to build a successful career as a businessman. In his book, 12 Bells to Freedom, he chronicles not only the political turmoil of 1956, but the deeply personal journey of faith, family, sacrifice, and the unbreakable human spirit. Welcome, Les, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Ron.
It's a pleasure, Laszlo.
Appreciate it.
Take us back to your early childhood in Hungary. What are your earliest memories of life under communist rule, and what freedoms did you realize you were missing even as a child at that time, only being 5 years old?
Well, at that time, I saw the emotional aspects of family because we were poor, and there were times when at supper, my mom would give us additional rations and not have food for herself. So that stayed in my mind. But going back further, at the beginning when Russia occupied Hungary in 1945 and violating the Potsdam Agreement, which all the Allied countries signed. Russia occupied Hungary and the Eastern European bloc, and they invoked 22% tax on the Hungarian people, which plummeted everyone into poverty.
Wow.
So when that happened, they were trying to figure out a way to control the population because they were afraid of revolution. So the appointment was made by Joseph Stalin to put a premier in place, which was Matyas Rákosi. And he took his orders from the Kremlin through the Russian ambassador, Yuri Andropov. So that's the way the communication went. And then he would execute the commands given by the Kremlin. So in 1948, he assigned the AVH secret police, which was fashioned after the KGB. But their whole purpose was to bring fear to the citizens of Hungary. And that way they would prevent any potential revolution. So to give you an idea, for example, if you had students, college students, 4 or 5 walking down the street,
Yeah.
there's a black limousine that would pull up and arrest them, take them down to 60 Andrassy Street, and that was the basically the headquarters for the AVH police or secret police. And in the basement, they would have prisons. In one section of, first section, second section was electronic torture. And then the third section was the gallows, where they would hang people.
So you're
Now,
telling me just walking down the street they would do
yeah,
this
there were,
for no
what
reason,
are,
or just
no,
putting fear in everybody's mind?
exactly. So accusations can be lethal
Yeah.
when you have no individual rights. And that's what happens under socialism and communism. The person does not have individual rights. So the loved ones of those students that disappeared never knew what happened to them because not naturally they would not report back to them and say, okay, well, they passed away or they're being indoctrinated at a certain place, and then you'll get them back in 3 months.
Yeah.
So it was that type of life. And in so doing that, the government did that. And what developed was the black market. Now, the black market was bartering. So, for example, my family had a big vegetable garden. So they would trade certain vegetables for milk with the neighbor who had cows.
Yeah.
So this type of thing would help the families continue on and have enough food to sustain themselves. So that is kind of the overhanging fear. And then what Russia tried to do is separate religion, which they felt, and it's true, religion is the adhesive faith that keeps people together, and they treat their neighbors as family, and they get along with everybody. That's the glue that keeps a society together. So when you try to fractionate the religion by arresting Cardinal Mansenti, that jeopardized the faith of the country, and their goal was to have neighbor turn against neighbor. And in my book, there is a section of a story about a pig farmer, and
Yeah, I remember that. I
the
remember
business
that.
all the businesses were owned by the government. So you didn't have your own business. It was all controlled by the communist government. So in this particular case, what happened was he had historically, he would have um, like a slaughter of a pig in the September of of the and beginning of the fall, okay? And
Yeah.
then the people that he would invite, they would make sausages and all sorts of different things and divide it up so people would have food for the winter. Well, he invited everybody, one neighbor did not come. So that neighbor basically felt bad because he saw all the people having a good time. So to get back at his neighbor, he turned him into the AVH police. And that was just an accusation stating that he was slaughtering government pigs. So the quotas back then were like if you had 100 pigs, 95 of them would be the government's, communist government's pigs, and five of those would be theirs to sustain their meat for the year or whenever period of time that you're looking at. So sure enough, the AVH came in, arrested him at 2 a.m., took him down to the village and hung him and put a
Wow.
sign on him stating that he was stealing government pigs. So uh, anytime you hear propaganda and accusations, and I think we had similar situations here, um, I'd say within the last 2020 through 2024, where you had attack on faith with Catholics. You empowered, in that case, it was the FBI to research and check up on Catholics on the East Coast. I'm not absolutely sure on that location, but that is kind of out of the playbook of the Russian playbook on how they kept people in check and spread the fear. So their goal was no revolution. So during the course of the year, all of these atrocities came to be, and that accusation process hit my father as well. And he was granted uh, the airport manager for Pache Airport and was doing very, very well. And it was a situation where a bus driver who was taking my older brother, who was like 7 at the time, on his route because he liked the bus. So when he did that, he would always stop on the way back to the airport at a winery, and he would get loaded.
Yeah.
So what happened in that particular time, uh, just before that, a week before, my father and his friend were walking to his friend's brother's winery, and he was hit by a motorcycle, which broke his leg. So he was out of commission, and basically there was an interim manager that took his spot. So when this bus driver did what he did, the interim manager wrote him up, and the bus driver thought my father wrote him up. So obviously, uh, my father said, "No, I didn't write you up. It was the interim manager because you violated the rules."
Yeah.
And you were told, and he was warned a number of times, you bring the bus back and then you're on your own.
Yeah.
So that was the situation there. But the owners, he wrote a letter to the owners stating that he was stealing fuel and he was using the bus for personal reasons, which my mom was pregnant with me. So I actually was in the court when all this came down.
Yeah.
But
So
uh,
to speak.
yeah, so to speak. So that part is very interesting because my father, his brother was also a pilot. My dad was the in the advanced flight school for the ME 109, which is the Messerschmitt aircraft. But my uncle, my dad's brother, was also a pilot, shot down, and was in a prison of war camp in Russia, and ended up dying in the war camp. And my dad never trusted the Russians. So in this particular case, the labor union leader said you should get a Russian attorney, and he had said no, I don't want a Russian attorney. I don't trust him. This and that. And he convinced him by saying that no, he will know all the plans that the prosecutor is going to bring, and he will be able to stalemate and bring reasonable doubt and turn that case over. And he did. He ended up doing a very, very good job. Discredited the bus driver who was their only witness. They did an inventory on the fuel, and that inventory proved to be exactly correct. So that he was caught in a lie on that. So the judge didn't have any recourse but to dismiss the case.
What
But
happened to the bus? What happened to the bus driver?
uh, the bus driver obviously was in the union, labor union, which is the Red Book union. And if you're a card holding member, uh, you're going to be fine. He'll just get a
Okay.
reprimand, and that's about it.
Okay.
But in my father's case, if he would have been found guilty, they would have deported him to Siberia.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
So
imagine.
it was a major thing there.
I have to tell everybody I read the book. It's a great book and it will definitely hold your interest. Laszlo, what inspired you to write the book?
Well, for many years, growing up, when we came in, we landed in New York, and then basically we were stationed at the Camp Kilmer Army Base in New York, Upper New York, and then the people throughout the country would sponsor families. And in our case, the Rotary Club in Ishpeming, Michigan, sponsored our family. So we went to Upper Michigan, and from there, my father found because his craft was mechanical. So he found a position at Austin Western in Aurora, Illinois, which is heavy equipment. You might have heard of Clark Equipment.
Yeah.
Same thing. And as a matter of fact, Clark Equipment bought Austin Western. And he worked there. And we grew up in Aurora, Illinois. And as a young person, you want to fit in. So we thought that our storyline was normal. We didn't think it was any great thing, but walking through a forest for 2 hours at ages 5, 7, and 9
Yeah,
without
we're gonna
making a sound.
we're gonna get to
Uh,
that. Yeah.
that tells you how well we understood it. But
Yeah.
our expertise was sports. So we were wrestlers and soccer players, and we did quite well. So we gained respect. So as we got older, we were accepted. But the teachers along that path were always saying, "Wow, you've got a story here. You need to write this story."
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it. But when I ended up going into the Navy, I decided to take leave, go back to Aurora, and my parents and I sat at the kitchen table and I pulled my cassette player out and recorded my mom's memoirs. So she's really telling the story that you read.
Yeah.
And I what I did is I studied the government at the time. I studied the AVH. I studied Cardinal Mansenti's efforts to bring religion and keep faith moving forward with St. Mary's pilgrimage and all that. And I pieced it all together.
The It's a Wrap with Rap podcast, the podcast of hope, resilience, purpose, and the pursuit of wellness, has the privilege to educate our audience about TeleWellness MD, a physician-led telehealth platform connecting eligible patients with licensed providers for prescription-based wellness therapies that practices education first and oversight always. TeleWellness MD is not a supplement company, not a replacement for primary care, and does not ship without provider approval. All treatments require medical review. TeleWellness MD works as follows. An account is created for you, a consult with a physician occurs, an order for therapy ensues when prescribed, and you now start your wellness journey. Ongoing support is included. There are no additional fees required. TeleWellness MD focuses on metabolic health, recovery, energy, hormonal balance, sexual wellness, healthy aging, cognitive clarity, and immune support, all under licensed medical supervision. What is included with TeleWellness MD is one price and complete care. Included are a provider review and prescription by a licensed medical provider, prescriptions prepared by state-regulated U.S.-based compounding pharmacies, all the required supplies when applicable, the listed vial size and concentration, fast, discreet shipping directly to your door, and ongoing support which includes access to the TeleWellness MD live U.S.-based support team, no memberships, no add-on fees, and no surprises. Are you curious? Learn more and connect with a licensed provider to determine whether treatment may be appropriate for you. Please use the link provided to access the website and receive a 25% podcast discount on your first order.
And that's how I got the storyline for 12 Bells to Freedom. There is one unique thing, and I'll tell you before we finish, at the end on our journey at the border.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
remind
We're
me.
we're gonna get to all that. Now, tell us how your book, 12 Bells to Freedom, well, you just told us it was created from tape recordings from your parents. I believe this happened in 1973 to 74.
Correct.
Uh, you had a friendship with Elaine Presley,
Correct.
the daughter of Elvis, correct?
That's correct.
Uh,
Uh,
when did
I
that
can,
begin, and what role did she play in bringing the book to life?
yeah, going back to when I first submitted my story, I thought, well, I think I'll go with stage32.com because stage32.com is very much like Facebook, but you've got actors, actresses, you have directors, you have producers. All those people are on that, and also other authors. So I thought, well, I'll just post my story, give everybody a synopsis of the story. And she contacted me and basically told me her story, which I think is fantastic. And everyone should also read The Kid by Elaine Presley. But she did not know that she was Elvis's daughter. until she was an adult because
Oh,
it was
wow. I
kept a
didn't know that.
secret. And this happened when Elvis was in the army in the night, basically the same timeline as our escape, 1955, right in that
Yeah, that
time zone.
sounds right. That sounds right.
So she was born and sheltered for all that time, and um, she just one day people were saying, "Gee, you look like that artist Elvis Presley," and so she picked up that comment, and sure enough, she went and got her uh, DNA testing, and she was accepted by Graceland, and she's working with Graceland right now. And I talked to her on occasion, but she helped me with the book to get the right people connected so I could get it published, and gave me kind of like a path to follow, which I did.
That's
And I'm
great.
very
That's
grateful
great.
to her work as well.
Where was your family when the revolution began in October of 1956? Do you have any memory about the atmosphere surrounding the family and your community?
Well,
And
I
let
can
me ask
tell
you a
you
question.
that,
Did you live in
sure.
Budapest by chance?
No, we lived in I lived in Pécs. So
Okay.
that's where I was born, in Pécs, Hungary, southern region of Hungary.
Okay.
And so from there, I can tell you that my memories are uh, like our neighbor had a horse and wagon. So as kids, we would ride in the horse and wagon and pretend like we were controlling the horses and had a little small little whip. So that's the kind of stuff that I remember as a kid. And then we also had pigeons. So the pigeons stood out for me as well.
Okay,
So
so the atmosphere on the street is something you wouldn't remember.
no, but I can tell you from observation of the period, there were two lives. There was a outside your home life and within your home life. Okay. So within your home life, there was faith, there was prayers at supper time, there was a lot of family mingling and trust and faith. But outside of the family, you had to worry about a simple word being misinterpreted,
Yeah.
and somebody could turn you in on an accusation. So it's a stressful situation, and that's why if you've seen any of the pictures of that era, that timeline, a lot of people were despondent, and you would not see smiles. You would see a kind of a despondent face,
Yeah, definitely can
and
understand that.
that's the reason
What
for
did your
that.
parents tell you about the atmosphere in the streets? Did the family believe that freedom was truly within reach once that revolution started?
Well, the revolution for the viewers started with the engineering students in Budapest University,
Yeah,
and
with the
what they
ABH,
did
right?
now, yeah, with the AVH atrocities, um, it was quite interesting because these engineering students were the future communist leaders that were graduating from University of Budapest. But what they did is they got together. They they witnessed some of the atrocities. They heard about students being taken, things
Yeah.
of that nature. So they made up what was called the 16 points, and they published it and passed it out, submitted it, got to the working blue collar class, and they agreed with everything that was written. And that's where the mass strikes took place and the revolution started.
Now
So
that
that
revolution
was,
started. I've been to Budapest, and I actually was there. You could still see the bullet holes in the buildings. Uh,
yeah.
Now
We
the Soviet forces retreated, but they did come back in force to crush the revolution. Uh, I think
there's a little story behind that.
yeah, but they
Okay.
retreated for several days, didn't they?
What happened was Yuri Andropov, the ambassador to Russia, was on the second floor of the AVH building at 60 Andrassy Street. So he witnessed the demonstration in front of the building and called it into the Kremlin. Now, a lot of this atrocities started with Joseph Stalin, okay? And Joseph Stalin, for all the viewers that really are interested in the effects of communism, he made Hitler look like a kindergartner because he killed over 600 million people, and we're talking about some of his own people. I'm sorry, 6 million, above 6 million, and a lot of them were his own people. But then with the um, occupation, he didn't care of Hungarian civilians or any of the other countries. So he died in 1953. So when he passed away, Nikita Khrushchev took over. And Nikita Khrushchev, historians, I had a debate with a Russian historian about the Hungarian Revolution, and he thought that Nikita Khrushchev was a benevolent leader that wanted to seek peace. So what happened at the revolution was Yuri Andropov was called back to Russia. So he went back to Russia. They had their meeting with Khrushchev, and basically in that meeting, he was told by Yuri Andropov that a lot of the Russian soldiers had Hungarian wives. So that's when the recall came for all these Russian soldiers to be recalled. And then he was negotiating with Imre Nagy, who was basically the popular person in government for to stand on the side of Hungary. And so that's where the Russian PhD person said, while he was negotiating with him, trying to seek peace. And I said, have you ever considered that Nikita Khrushchev was securing the army that defeated the Germans as the Germans were trying to.
Have you ever stopped to think about what freedom really means and what it costs? Today we're spotlighting a powerful, unforgettable story, 12 Bells to Freedom, by our podcast guest and author, Laszlo Suhajda. This is not fiction. This is not imagination. This is a memoir-based true story of one family's fight for survival during one of the most oppressive periods in modern history. Set in post-World War II Hungary from 1945 to 1956, the year of the Hungarian Revolution, this book takes you deep into life under Soviet occupation, a time marked by fear, blacklists, constant surveillance, and the ever-present danger of losing everything. Through the eyes of a family determined to survive, 12 Bells to Freedom reveals what it truly means to live under tyranny. It's a story of courage in the face of uncertainty, resilience in the face of injustice, and hope when everything around you says to give up. One of the most gripping moments in the book is their journey through the Sopron forest in Hungary, a desperate and dangerous path toward freedom. You'll feel the tension, the risk, and the unwavering determination that define their escape. This is more than a memoir, it's a living history lesson. In a world where freedom can sometimes be taken for granted, this book is a must-read, especially for younger generations. It offers children and young adults a powerful perspective on history, helping them understand the value of liberty, the cost of oppression, and the importance of never taking freedom for granted. It's educational, it's inspiring, and it's deeply human. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a parent looking to teach your children about resilience, or someone searching for a story that will stay with you long after the final page, this book delivers. And the best part, 12 Bells to Freedom is available now on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, Kindle, and audiobook formats. So you can experience this incredible journey in the way that fits your life. Don't just read about freedom, understand it. Get your copy of 12 Bells to Freedom today, because stories like these don't just inform us, they remind us what truly matters.
Reach Moscow. and he was calling them down to Hungary, which took a week to get there. And in that meantime, he was playing like he was a benevolent leader, but when they arrived, he terminated all of the discussions, and then 300 tanks rolled in.
Yeah.
So he said, you know, I never considered that. So I kind of won that debate.
Yeah. I think you did. Now, uh, when did your tell us when did your family realize and make the decision to leave the country? And did you understand the magnitude of what your parents were risking at that time?
Uh, Correct. Now, the revolution, Hungary was free from October 23rd to November 1st. And
And a lot of people left in that time,
yes,
didn't they?
and during that period of time, a lot of people left thinking, well, they're going to retaliate and then it's not going to be pretty. And it really wasn't.
Yeah.
So my father decided 20 days after the borders were closed and patrolled by the Russians. Now, when families would try to escape, they try to do it at night, thinking under the cloak of darkness it'd be a better opportunity to escape. But what the Russians were doing is shooting flares in the air, and then anything that moved, they would machine gun down. So a lot of families were killed.
Yeah.
So in our case, he decided we had a big family meeting. All the relatives were in the room, and he explained that there's no future for the kids because the blacklists that were invoked on him would also apply to his children. So he made the decision to escape, and this was on November 20th. We started, and we followed the train because that was the only mode of transportation is train. And with a nationwide strike, and all you had is horse and buggy wagons and things like that, because at that time only the rich communists had automobiles. So that's kind of how that's set. And then we were very fortunate because we had 7 strangers that helped us. Now, you have to put that in perspective. Everyone works for the government. Communist Party is the major employer. If you should try to escape, for example, if you were trying to escape and I saw you leaving, if I didn't try to stop you, then I would be prosecuted and executed. That's the thinking of the Russian
Yeah.
playbook, if you will. So they were in danger, endangering their lives if we would have been caught. But they all did a little bit. But when you added the little bits together, it resulted in the opportunity for our freedom.
Yeah, and it's all documented in the book. Uh, so I would like to tell everybody it's a great book and you need to get a copy of it. Uh, I know you had to, well, I don't want to get into that whole scenario with you leaving because I don't want to give things away. But uh the family escapes, you build a new life in the West. What was your impression of the West and what were the biggest challenges adapting to a new country and a new culture?
Well, let me go back a little bit. You touched on it before. I wanted to address propaganda.
Okay.
Okay, when you have Russia controlling media,
Yeah,
okay, when media is controlled, all they do is use propaganda to try to convince the citizenry that everything is fine.
sure.
We have a 5-year plan, and you're going to benefit greatly, but they never do. And that was part of the 16 points that the engineering students mentioned. So what my father did, and you had asked, well, how were we, did we understand what was happening at the time? Well, we would sit in the room and listen to Radio Free Europe. So Radio Free Europe told the situation, what was happening, what they were doing, the danger behind, trying to escape this and that. And he designed a plan, but he was thinking to escape by night. But one of the helpers, which is in the book, convinced him to leave during the daytime. So I think that was a key point, and that helped us remedy the
Yeah,
situation.
probably it wouldn't
And
be so obvious if somebody saw you,
right,
going in the daytime, they would think, well, they're just going somewhere. Yeah, I can see that.
correct.
Uh, so tell us how those early struggles that you probably had to endure coming here to the United States shape your work ethic, creativity, and business philosophy. And tell us about your business ventures, uh, especially since Laszlo is the inventor of America's first wine slushy.
Correct. Yeah. Well, leading up to that, as I mentioned before, when you're in sports, soccer is a team sport, so you have to have the right team to succeed in life, and you're motivated to succeed. You're not you're not going to sit on your hands and think, oh well, I'm going to be successful by sitting here. No, you got to get up and do the work
Right.
and make the calls and convince the people that you want on your team that you're headed somewhere and they need to be joining you with that effort. So yeah, I incorporated my company Laszlo Corporation back in September of 1989. 1989, yes,
Yeah.
and and basically I well, going back before that, I was in the Navy, as I mentioned, and in purchasing. So that gave me the insight to use that knowledge and work for McDonnell Douglas for a period of time. And then after graduation, because I was enlisted, I graduated from SIU Edwardsville. And then from there, I ended up um, with the downturn, there was like a period of time where layoffs happened at McDonnell Douglas. So I switched over to the chemical industry and became the purchasing manager of Chemisphere. And then from there, after 9/11, I started back then. I started at with my company, Laszlo Corporation, and then I was involved with chemicals, and then I started a separate division, beverage division, where my relatives in Hungary, I went there, they connected me with key um, wineries, and we're talking about quality premium wineries. So I started doing that as well as the chemicals. And then from there, I thought of a product which was the wine slushies and registered it with Treasury Department because Treasury Department does everything under 7%. Over 7% alcohol goes to Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms, BATF. So at the beginning, I was picking up clients here and there, and then I landed Bush Stadium. So Bush Stadium was a big plus that helped me get into other locations as well, and it was great. People loved it, and I was in the season ticket holder section of Bush Stadium,
Yeah.
Redbird Club, and all those, and everybody was very happy and pleased with the way the wine slushies were selling. So what happened next was I secured a company in Texas that had backpacks. So my goal was to sell wine slushies down the aisle of Busch Stadium when it was because a lot of people are sitting in the sun and it would be perfect for them to get a frozen wine slushie And what happened was the major distributor in St. Louis, I won't mention their name, but they threatened DNC Sports Services with if you allow Laszlo Corporation to sell wine slushies down the aisle, then we're going to pull all our promotional money out. So it was kind of like uh,
You were in
Goliath,
competition with something else.
Goliath and David. Only this time David lost.
Yeah, I've been in St. Louis once and went up to the Arch, which overlooks Busch Stadium. So
Right.
it's a great place, and I can understand slushies and yeah.
That
I
it
think
it
we all
would
know who you're talking about. Okay,
it would work in Florida too. The minor league ballparks
oh
definitely they
yeah,
could use that
yeah,
product. Yeah.
absolutely. Is it still around?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Matter of fact, uh, one of my major customers, also downtown St. Louis, City Museum. And if any families are thinking about taking a tour, go to City Museum. It's tremendous. The kids have all sorts of slides and climbing and all sorts of stuff. And the parents are in these lounges. And believe it or not, my wine slushy product sold $152,000 in 9 months at
Wow.
City Museum. And we're ranked number one at City Museum.
Wow. Uh, you
By the way, we have 10 flavors also.
wow, 10 flavors.
So 10 flavors.
Is it available nationwide or
Well, it's available right now in the um Missouri area. So I've got a lot of venues at Southern Missouri, St. Louis area, Metro, yeah, area. So, but
well,
people can buy it and in liquid form, already blended, and take it home in half-gallon containers. And then they can actually pour it into a Tupperware bowl, freeze it, pull it out, let it thaw 5 minutes, and then scoop it with an ice cream scooper into a blender, blend it up, and it's just like coming out of the bun machine. So they can use that anytime. Work in the yard, use that then, or entertaining friends with wine slushies.
sounds
Now, the other major
you're making me
project that
thirsty,
I'm
Last.
the other major project I'm working on right now is a new green technology. Now, this can also protect and save homes from fire. And it was USDA approved in Missoula, Montana. And we tried to get it into um, to save communities as well, like Pacific Palisades as an example.
Yeah.
Um, they were right in line with that wildfire. So when I had pitched it a couple of years before that, Cal Fire said, "It sounds like a great product, but we want airdrop, to drop it from the C-130 aircraft." So that is phase two. We had the ground USDA approval, but phase two is the airdrop,
It sounds
which
exciting.
now is going to be done.
The podcast is so happy and proud to have Blue Sky CBD as one of our sponsors and supporters. At Blue Sky CBD, they know that the highest quality CBD starts from the seed. Blue Sky partners with sustainable, responsible farms for superior hemp plants to extract their CBD and other healthful phytonutrients. Each of Blue Sky's products contain high concentrations of CBD for maximum impact, and Blue Sky offers some of the lowest cost per milligram CBD on the market. All Blue Sky's products are THC free and are tested by a third party laboratory for potency and purity. All this has made Blue Sky one of the only CBD brands trusted by healthcare professionals across the United States. As the demand for CBD and its therapeutic potential have grown rapidly worldwide, it is difficult to know which products you can trust. At Blue Sky CBD, they just
don't sell their products, they use their products. Blue Sky CBD proudly shares testimonials of their loved ones who use these products. Blue Sky CBD guarantees the potency and purity of each and every product they sell. Blue Sky tests their products 3 times. First, the plant is tested, next, the isolate, and last, the final product to ensure each product batch meets Blue Sky's high standards. A copy of the certificate of analysis is linked below each product description online. The Blue Sky CBD website contains client testimonials, including a case study for each testimonial from the people just like you regarding people dealing with severe anxiety and insomnia, high blood pressure, pain management, headache, rheumatoid arthritis and spondylitis, and endocrine balance. Blue Sky even makes the product Pet Love for our canine and feline family members. Blue Sky CBD uses CBD derived from hemp that is THC free, which is drug free and can be sold everywhere legally in the United States. Blue Sky CBD wants you to feel confident with your purchase and offers you excellent customer service. If you are not satisfied with their products, you may request a refund of the full purchase price within 30 days of the product received date. When ordering, please use the podcast link to receive 20% off your initial purchase. The link and website information will be listed in the podcast notes.
Second quarter of this year in June, and they will actually use it on an existing wildfire in June. And that would be the test. If it passes, then that will be replacing what the incumbent is right now. And that incumbent they've been using that for, gosh, 60 plus years.
Wow.
And unfortunately, it doesn't work. It doesn't contain the fire. But Komodo K500C is the name of the product. And the same formula also applies in spray can form. So the spray can form would be used for in-home use. If there's a grease fire in the kitchen, you can stand 6 to 8 feet away, spray it, puts it out, and you're cleaning up with soap and water, which is great. Other fire extinguishers are a mess. So soap and water is much better.
That Komodo name from the Komodo dragon, putting the fire out?
Yep. It came from the Komodo dragon, but as it progressed through the years, the dragon was dropped. Although I wanted to make a funny little cartoon with this little dragon walking along. All of a sudden, he comes across a fire, and he rears back, and his chest bloats out, and then he squirts the Komodo product on it, puts it out, and you see the little smoke rising. He turns to the camera and smiles. That's what I was trying to pitch.
I got to tell you, I know we're going off base, but I have been to Indonesia and I've been to Komodo Island. And I took a picture. I was behind the Komodo dragon. It looks like I'm next to it, but I'm really not. But I mean, those things are dangerous, believe me.
Yeah,
But unbelievable how big,
yeah.
fast.
Yeah, this was a little twist. Something like you're explaining turns out to be a gentle giant that puts out fires.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it was interesting seeing that. I just want to move along.
I do have a website in case the viewers are interested.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. I want to ask you.
Okay.
About,
Right. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Why is it important for younger generations to understand life and what misconceptions do people have?
Well, the tragic news today is that the young folks are not getting the full history of the world. Okay. So, for example, the World War II is not covered very much. There's a limited bits of news for the young folks to understand what socialism and communism are. And it's so very important because if you diminish the study, the chances of repeat is there. Chances
Yeah,
on repeating itself will come around.
sure.
So that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. So the young people, and I had two speaking engagements. One was the University of Missouri St. Louis History Department, and those students were on the edge of their seat. And afterwards, they all stood in line, came up and shook my hand and said how valuable the information was for them. So this is the type of presentation that I think the young folks would need to know because guess what happened? There's a socialist communist mayor in New York City,
Yeah,
and he pledged all sorts of things to get elected. And what happened? None of them have come true. And that's the book from Russia. Russian playbook does
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and it's unfortunate because um, the kids need to study propaganda. They need to do their homework and then realize, okay, you've got capitalism. Here are the benefits for capitalism. One is charity. A simple thing like charity, helping others, is a charitable process. Do you have that under socialism, communism? No, because that government owns everybody. So
Yeah.
you're not going to have those benefits. So that's one of the points I'm making for all younger generation students to study. If it's not presented in school, read the books and learn what the true meaning of socialism and communism is.
Have you ever been back to Hungary, and what's your impression of it today?
As a matter of fact, my parents obviously escaped, but they were torn between two countries. They had all their relatives back home, but they knew it's under communist rule and they would not be able to go back.
Yeah,
So the fall of the Iron Curtain changed that.
right.
Hungary became free, a democratic country, and ironically, when they retired, they moved back to Pécs. Hosszúhetén is where they,
Oh, they
which is
did.
adjacent to Pécs. They did, and they lived their life, remaining in Hungary, and we visited them quite a bit. And
Okay.
one of the things that I did with my mom, this was back in 2017, is my brothers and I took her on the journey we took to retrace our steps all the way to the border of Sopron. And I have that on video, and that's on YouTube. It's called Freedom Revisited. So for all the people that are interested in that journey, they can actually go to Freedom Revisited on YouTube, and you'll see three little boys. I'm the youngest on the left.
Oh, okay. Great.
So,
Now, when you say you went to the border, it was the border of what? Austria or what?
yeah,
What country?
yeah.
It was Austria.
Sopron, yeah, Sopron is the Hungarian city adjacent to Austria,
Okay.
and the borderline is a forest, and that's where that YouTube video takes us to that forest, and you can see uh, the jeep roads that the Russians would use as they traveled through the forest, and we had to
Yeah.
make sure that we weren't spotted and things like that. So that's all in the video as well.
Yeah, and I got to say, a lot of this is all in the book, and the book is 12 Bells to Freedom, which I highly recommend. Uh, where can people obtain the book? And give me your contact information,
Sure, the book is available on Amazon.com.
right?
And in the search bar, all you have to do is type in 12 Bells to Freedom.
Okay.
And you have hard copy, you have a soft copy. They have, you can download it,
Kindle, ebook.
ebook. Yeah, ebook. And just released is audiobook.
Okay.
And since this was the story was on memoirs of my mother, I had a lady Irene Leland did a professional job on that. So people that like to listen to the stories can get an audiobook on Amazon.com as well.
Okay. And what's your website?
The website for the Komodo K500C and the Komodo 911 is www.LASZ, like zebra, LOKOMODO.com, LasloKomodo.com. A lot of O's
Dot,
in there.
.com. Okay.
.com,
Laszlo Como.
Komodo,
Oh, Komodo.
KOMODO.com.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll put that in the podcast notes for everybody out there listening.
Okay.
I want to thank you, Laszlo, for being a guest on the podcast and through your book reminding us all that freedom is not free and that the freedom we enjoy in the United States and other democratic countries throughout the world should not be taken for granted. I want to wish you and your family good health and happiness going forward. And once again, thank you so much for being on the
Thank you
podcast.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Comments and suggestions for the podcast, you can email me at itsarapwithrap@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group. We have a couple thousand people in there. It's a private group, so just email me if you want to get in. Instagram, we're on Instagram. It's a Rap with Rap podcast. We're on X at Rapper, WRAPPER 130. We're on pretty much all the social media platforms. And we're on YouTube, of course. All the episodes are on It's a Rap with Rap, the podcast uncut. And our website is itsarapwithrap.com, where we have our book nook, which features many of the books our guests have authored. I want to thank everyone for listening or viewing. Want everybody to please stay safe. And for now, it's a wrap.